Hello, everybody. Hey, Hedrick, how are you doing?
Hey, Melody.
Hey, if it's your first time coming to my book chat, my name is Melody McAllister, and I do a weekly book chat. And tonight I have my dear friend Hedrick. I haven't seen you in like 6 months, like live talking with you. Um, so it is so good to see you. We're going to talk about her amazing book, What is the Black Lives Matter Movement, in just a second. But hello to everybody watching, whether it's on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. We're so glad you tuned in tonight. Hedrick, for anybody who doesn't know you, tell us about your background and your experience in life, whatever you want to share with us.
Oh, God. Okay. The elevator pitch is hello, I'm Hedreich Nichols, author, educator, and host of the YouTube series Small Bites. I am an EdTech teacher, and district lead, write curriculum for a North Texas charter. And I love my seventh graders, and I enjoy being a mom and playing with my god dog Harper in my free time.
Oh, you're really good at that. I'm impressed.
Practice, baby, practice. By the way, totally off topic. I should send a hello to you from Dave Schmitusa.
Oh, hey, Dr. Dave. So cool. Oh, to me. Okay. Hey, Dr. Dave. Yes, he's such a cool person. When you were talking, doing your amazing elevator pitch, I put your YouTube channel down below so people can follow you, because we'll talk about Small Bites in just a second, but your YouTube channel is amazing, just like you. And so where are you? Like, I'm so jealous. I'm coming in from Alaska. Where are you coming in from?
I am in North Texas. It was about 75 today. It's gotten down to about maybe 70. So I've got my nice little blanket. And because of the pandemic, it's been really slow getting things like passports and driver's license. So my 16-year-old has been on the waiting list, and he can't get his license until June was the first appointment we got. So mommy has to drive with him everywhere. So I am sitting in the parking lot where he plays bass, hanging out with you.
That is so cool. And if for anybody who doesn't know, I've actually had a lot of compliments on the intro song that I do it when I go live with Rochelle for our Monday live and our Thrive O'Clock, but I made it for tonight. It's going to be my new intro for this too. He sped it up, but your son, Christopher, actually made that beat for me. He calls it Melody's Beat. And I just want to put a shout out for Christopher. I paid him. So if you want your very own intro, her son is amazing. He will make you your own beat. It does cost a little bit of money, but it's worth it. And YouTube can't tell you that you are taking away from anybody else. So it's wonderful. So thank you. And definitely get a hold of Christopher through Hedrick if you want.
Find it yourself. At Swiss Chris on base. Go find him.
Okay, Swiss Chris on base.
On base. Yeah. He's got his own YouTube and his Instagram too. So
yes. Okay. And so I've already seen a couple of nasty comments. I thought that I knew that this was going to be, this is not really easy for a lot of people to talk about. So we're going to just say that if you are not really up with the Black Lives Matter movement and you're joining us for whatever reason, we hope you'll stay, even if it's hard for you to listen to. I did get one comment that was pretty ugly, and I'm not going to show it. But the reason that I'm so excited about you coming on tonight, Hedrick, is because this is a book that is very relative to what we're experiencing right now. We see the hashtag Black Lives Matter all of the time. We see hashtag BLM. There's a lot of misinformation about it, and we're just going to jump right into it. We're not going to sugarcoat anything. But first of all, I want to say congratulations on this amazing book. It dropped on January 1st, along with another book that you have, What is Anti-Racism? I will be putting the links in the comments. And before we get into like the actual book, why did you decide to write this?
Well, the neat thing is, Calissa Wing and Cherry Lake Publishing decided that it was time to do a series. So they have a 6-book trade series designed for middles, and it's all about racial justice in America, the RJA series. And I was approached, and I chose to write 2 of them. And those 2 topics are topics that are really hard to swallow. I imagine when we talk about the isms and the phobes, it's really hard if you are the object of those kinds of words to hear. and to feel like there is perhaps really some injustice. Oh, well, that's racist, or you're racist, or that's homophobic, or you're homophobic, or those kind of things are hard to digest. And I really understand that. So I wanted to write a book, Melody, that allowed everybody to get a different understanding. Like whenever we hear Black Lives Matter, it sounds like nobody else's lives matter. That's exclusive, and often the misinformation says that it's a radical, aggressive, angry mob of people only preaching for Black lives. And if you actually get past the first two or three Google searches, because the people who are doing the misinformation are really, really good at their SEO game. If you get past that and you look for the actual website, you'll see it's a very inclusive organization. And they do a lot of grassroots things for different organizations for people who have been what I call othered. It means anytime you do the us and them, you're othering people. And so they really just kind of rally around others in a lot of different ways. And it was important to write a book that explains Black Lives Matter. What the slogan really means is Black Lives Matter too. You know, when we see people who, like, for example, right now we're in the middle of the Derek Chauvin trial, and people wonder, well, oh, he probably had drugs. He was big. We had to control him. That was what the former officer said. He was a sizable guy. We had to control him. And there's a way that often Black and brown bodies are policed that's very, very different. And, you know, the last lynching that I personally know of happened in the 90s in Southeast Texas, where I went to high school. So these are not things that are like way back in some slave time. I tell all the time that I don't think I look old. I think I'm kind of still, you know, young and cute.
You are.
I am the first generation of Black people who went to school together with white people in Houston, Texas. So these are not problems that are like way, way, way back. These are things that are part of my generation. And this year, my son, he's now 7. Well, he'll be 17 next week. He experienced some really awful things. You know what I mean? About people saying, go back to your own neighborhood. And we were in he was in our neighborhood on a skateboard. And people saying Black Lives Matter, a bunch of idiots. And that kind of thing. It's like the only answer to the opposite of Black Lives Matter is not it's not all lives matter. It's Black lives don't matter. And that's what the movement is about. It's saying, hey guys, us too. You know, I saw a meme that said, we don't want you to shoot them like you shoot us. We want you to not shoot us like you don't shoot them. And, like I said, if you are a white person, it feels like you're attacked and you're being, guilted up for something that you are not personally responsible for. But I think that we are all, you know, there's a song, each man as my brother, each man as my friend. I'll defend each man as my brother and each man as my friend. And if we really believe, I think it was International Golden Rule Day, treat others as we want to be treated. If we really believe in those kinds of things, then Black Lives Matter is an extension of that. And it means, oh, wow, you're feeling like you don't matter? Well, I don't want that. What can I do to help? And so if we can take the guilt and the I feel attacked out of that, I'm hoping that my book and just people being able to have some genuine conversations can help people to understand that the movement is simply to have us be policed the same and treated the same when we are incarcerated, or to be incarcerated less, to have our schools have equitable funding, those kinds of things that were for so long inequitable. And again, we're talking about my lifetime, not just, you know, sometime way back in the slavery days. We're talking about injustices that have continued. Black Lives Matter is about righting some of those injustices. And I hope that that's something that everyone wants, because I don't want anyone to feel like they are treated unjustly.
Right. I think that you do an incredible job of being able to welcome anybody who wants to start the work of getting past pretty much what our generations have always faced, when this inequality, injustice, othering, all of this. And it's not old. It's not like way back. I mean, the biggest part, and you talk about this in your book, the biggest part of our history, people were enslaved. Black people were enslaved by others for over 250 years. And then once, the abolitionists, the Civil War, 1865, all of that, they were still enslaved by the law. They weren't, the law didn't say that they were slaves anymore, but the way that, the legalities of our nation kept people enslaved in poverty. And I think that's why some of us will say, well, it's not my fault. But here's the thing, that has not been eradicated. And so if we don't all plug into this work, and I'm talking about white people like myself, if we don't join this work, we will continue this for the future generations. I know that a lot of my friends who have Black sons are scared. Like, they know from the moment their child is born, by the time they hit 16, like, this is a real moment of dread for them. And you talk about how, like, in your small bites, especially, you talk about like the reality of what you all face and what your son faces. People who want to learn can learn from you. I don't feel defensive at all, just to be clear. And this is a children's book. It is very age appropriate. My kids are, from kindergarten, for school age kindergarten to middle school, but they can all read this. I mean, like, it is appropriate for all of them. It is appropriate for my 40-year-old self. If you're somebody who is new to this work, this is a great book to start. You offer a glossary at the back. So it's like you're inviting us to be a part of this. You're inviting us to come together to work on this so that all lives will eventually matter. And this is not something that we can afford to start over with every single generation.
That's exactly that. We can't keep affording to pretend it's not happening. We can't, like you said, we can't keep affording that, because other than that, we keep having these bubbling overs, these boiling overs, and that's not healthy. It's ripping us apart.
It truly is. And you actually have great pictures, and everything that you put is like new. So for those people who say, or who think that this is still something long time ago, no, I mean, if you were just around last year, wherever you were in the world, I mean, the riots that broke out, and your pictures are all, from this last year almost. Mm-hmm. So, except for the ones in history. I thought it was amazing. I just want to speak to all the parents and educators right now. This is a phenomenal book to have in your library. This is a great book to talk about with your students. And Hedreich, you have in this book, and I'm sure that you have it in the next one, you have a project for those who read this. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, that is the neatest part of this series. Calissa Wing, the designer, is an educator, and she really wanted to make sure that there were there's not just another conversation around race and another book where you can learn about it, but actually things you can do, action steps and projects and things that you can do to support the facts that we want all lives to matter, and so Black lives have to matter.
Mm-hmm. And I'm just curious, what has the response been? Because this came out in January. What kind of feedback have you received?
It's very interesting. There are two, as you said, Black Lives Matter, as well as what is anti-racism. I've gotten tons of feedback about what is anti-racism, and I think people can say that a lot easier. It's less divisive. But all the good topics are spicy. And so I think that I've gotten very little feedback. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to come on and talk about this book, because for the people who are afraid, I can deal with anti-racism, but if I bring that other one in the classroom, we're going to have some pushback from parents, from admin, from the community, if you read the book, I believe that it's a great tool to find out why you don't need to have pushback, and to explain to people why there shouldn't be pushback, why it's something that we can all get behind.
Yes. And actually, I don't have what is anti-racism in my hands right now. So we are going to I wanted to mention and put it out there because I want I want people to pick up your book. So we're going to have another book chat for what is anti-racism, if you're okay with that.
I would love to. Hey, Melody, I'll come talk to you anytime. I'm trying to figure out how I can get to Oregon.
For real, for real. I know. I love talking with you. And actually, we did talk about. I've been dropping things in the comments. So if you're following along, I'm trying to share with you as much about Hedreich as possible because you are such an amazing woman and educator and mom. Like you are real. Like you have faced a lot in life and you're such an interesting person, but you're so welcoming and finding joy all of the time. And I'm putting the link to our Edu Spotlight. So the last time we talked live was when I had you come on for the Edu Spotlight. You had just started Small Bites, and I'm going to drop that in the comment. Tell us a little bit more about Small Bites.
Well, you mentioned my son and how your friends who, when their boys turn 16, there's just this moment of reckoning. I don't know if any of the white listeners have heard about the talk. The talk used to mean the sex talk, but the talk in the Black community means the time when you explain to your kids, especially your sons, if they get stopped by the police, that they have to be extremely careful and keep their hands on the dashboard and speak slowly and calmly and make sure that you make no sudden moves. There are all of these things that happen. So my little boy, my son is this handsome kid and he's really outgoing and personable. And as long as he still had a voice like this and he was wearing his hair kind of long and curly, everybody just loved him. And then all of a sudden he sprouted, got taller than me, and grew facial hair, and he started facing those same reactions. And like I said, skateboarding down the street. And some guy said, go back to your own neighborhood. Another time, a group in a truck, trolled him so that he like ducked through one neighborhood and went through the other and came around the front side so he could be seen. So I've had to make him say, okay, well, don't go. Hey, we live bordering a nice kind of area where you can go and walk, and there are horses out that way. And I said, no, you stay on the main streets when you do your morning run. Run up to the junior high school and around that way and back so that you're in plain sight. Those kinds of things. And right about that time, there was also the killing of George Floyd. And I just felt like, being the quote unquote one Black friend in spaces and being another voice in those spaces that I knew, that just wasn't enough anymore, that more people needed to hear another viewpoint. And that's what Small Bites is. That's what is anti-racism about. That's what is the Black Lives Matter movement is about. And that's how Small Bites was founded. I woke up after one of those incidents with my son, and I gotta talk. I literally, it was born in a moment.
Wow.
Easiest birth ever.
Well, maybe a lot of labor, the years of labor, sure, made the easiest birth. How long did it take you to write? How long did it take you to write this?
Oh man, like 2 seconds. It was, I think that the research took some time, but the book really came together probably in less than a month.
Awesome. So did you start Small Bites on your YouTube first and then write the book?
Yes. I think she found me through Small Bites.
That is so cool how it came together. And I love how you use your platform, that you are sometimes that only one Black friend that a lot of people have. And so you are able to speak into their lives. And I think that is because you are so loving and, being in your presence, whether it's a virtual, well, I guess that's the only time I've ever shared space with you is virtual, but like you have a natural way of just enveloping friends. I said that wrong. Enveloping people. Sorry, that was so dumb.
I love it. I love that. I like it. Enveloping. It's it's warmer. It's more cuddly.
But no, you have a really genuine way of just being with somebody, welcoming them. And I felt the same with your book. I feel the same when you are doing your Small Bites and how much you share. And I guess you are over 40 episodes at this point. It's just like, and sharing, and you're going live now too. Like you said that you're not doing the pre-recorded anymore. Like you're going live. What made you decide to go live?
Do I really have to say that? There is nothing dramatic about it, it's like, okay, either I am going to not beat my face and just go straight podcast, or I'm gonna go live, but I just can't do both. An hour of makeup and then an hour and a half of editing. That's way too much time for a 5-minute broadcast. And I was actually talking to Jeff Vargas over at Teach Better, and they're like, "Oh, but you're so good on the camera." And I said, "What woman doesn't want to hear that? Well, you're so good on the camera." So, so I decided for live. That was literally how that happened.
Well, that's cool. No, I like it. And your small bites is really cool. Okay, and this is what I wanted to come together. Everything that you do, I don't know how you've done it because you have so much wisdom, but a lot of people don't have time to like listen to something super long. So your book and your small bites, it's like even if you're a super busy person, you can engage in this. You can learn something. And you also like, okay, well, if you're a PE teacher or if what it's like you're able to address people in any walk of life that they have, and whether it's, outside of education or in education. But I think that it's true for both. You can read this book as an adult or a young person and understand, get a better overview of a lot of stuff that we see online, a lot of the misinformation. And then once we go to your small bites, then you get a little bit deeper too, but you still encourage everybody to keep doing the work. Like you're not here to like do all the work for us. You just help us to find the right direction.
And that's just it, Melody. Everybody can do something. You know what I mean? Nobody can do everything. I think when we talk about big topics like dismantling systemic racism, I kind of can almost not hear that anymore. Yes, there is structural racism that we have to deal with. There's systemic racism, but how do I dismantle? That is a verb that I do not have a visual for. And if we give people actual tools where we put them, you put actual hands-on strategies or a little piece of information that people can actually use, that goes a whole lot. You have, oh, okay, I can take this step and then that step, or I can pull this brick down and then another brick down. I can just get a little spoonful of earth under a brick. So that's kind of the idea behind even the strategies are like 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 15, 10, 5, and some of them are 0. Sometimes it's just reflecting over something. Why do you feel the way you feel about certain students? You might have, I always use this is my favorite one. It's not about black or white, but it's about how we other. And what if you are the absolute, nerd in school, and you always got popped on the back of the head by the big jock guy, and now you've got the captain of the football team in your classroom, and you still might feel kind of about, because of something that you haven't resolved. And so why do we feel about certain students strongly? Or maybe they remind you of the thing that you love about yourself, whatever it is. So it can be just a reflection about something that can help you and can impact your teaching and bring us all closer together. So yeah, that's it.
Yes, I love that you talk about othering because that was not something that I was aware of until maybe a year ago. And that I think that once you realize that, okay, I wasn't born 100 years ago, I wasn't here, 60 years ago, I've only been around for 40 years, and like I'm just taking you through the mindset of somebody who's like, this is not my fault. Well, of course, not one person owns this. It's on all of us. But I think that when we shut Black Lives Matter out, when we shut down, racist behavior that we have inside of ourselves without looking for it first, we are othering people. We are excluding people. And once we are able to exclude one group of people, it is so much easier to exclude a large group of lots of people, honestly. And that's where marginalization comes in. And I love that you talk about this in your book, because even me, like a few years into understanding my own, my mind and my actions about how I can either help heal or continue to help destroy, I realized once I started to accept the truth that others were telling me, I saw that I was accepting the truth about a lot of other people that I didn't have any business stereotyping. And once I embraced like my friends of color and the people of color and everybody in my life, I was able to embrace all of those others. And you talk about this in your book. And I think, and you talk about how the Black Lives Matter, actually, they are working with all those groups that have been othered. And the opposite is true. Once we embrace And it might just be the easiest to embrace, people of color first, and then see our eyes being open to how we can embrace everybody who is different than us, because more often than not, we're the same.
And when I talk to people about people who have difficulty getting their head wrapped around the whole Black Lives Matter movement thing, I talk about othering first, because generally you are othering either somebody in your family, you know what I mean, the brother-in-law you just can't stand, or the co-worker who drives you crazy because all they want to do is stand around and gossip. Well, there are just so many ways that we do us and them. It used to be that we had to do us and them because it was about survival, our tribe and their tribe. And now we other in ways that are dysfunctional. They're dysfunctional in our relationships. They're dysfunctional in our families. I mean, I've known people who feel like they are othered in their family.
Mm-hmm.
They're the artsy kind of artsy fartsy hippie type, and their family's a family of engineers and doctors and lawyers, and they feel like the odd man out. So there's this undercurrent of us and them to so many things that we do. And when if you can start with Black Lives Matter, okay, can you reflect on who you are othering? And at some point, you generally will get to a place where you realize, you know, I'm probably doing that to them too, or to this group too, or this person too. And it begins to be kind of othering is your gateway. And once we begin to see our biases, we are effective at weeding them out in all different kinds of situations. And so that's really what I'm hoping for when I look at what is the Black Lives Matter movement. I'm hoping that people will begin to see their version of the us and them, and then be able to just walk along that bridge until they can embrace different groups that they might heretofore have been unable to embrace.
Wow, I love that you said that othering is our gateway. It really is the truth about how we start separating others. And then if you can, and I just say, I was the worst of offenders. I remember when Michael Brown was murdered. I remember thinking in myself, oh, here we go again. I remember seeing that when Don Lemon was on CNN. I remember feeling like, oh my God, here we go again, instead of understanding the pain that his family was going through or the injustice of it all. I want to say that as the worst of offenders, like Paul, in the Bible, just, he was the worst of sinners. I was. And I just say that because you can come from somebody who feels like I do, or even worse in there, and come to the realization that you are wrong, that you were seeing
Mm.
life very wrong, to a point where you're welcoming. And I think that's what this has done for me, going from a place of othering to my gateway of welcoming, because we are all so human and we are worth everything. It was hard for me to say that, and I hope I didn't hurt anybody when I said that, but I just feel that this is so important for others to understand, for everyone
But
to
Melody, can
understand.
I, can I thank you for that? I always say that there would probably be less divorce if older married couples would talk about the roller coaster that marriage really is. You know what I mean? It's the, oh my
Mm-hmm.
God, we're so in love. And then it's the, oh my God, he doesn't pick his underwear off the floor. And then it's the, oh my God, she doesn't look like that in the morning. Really? There's just all of these things that go into being married. And it's a coming back around every time. Oh my God.
Right.
My friend, when I was a little, maybe 12. And I remember my neighbor who was in her 80s, and she'd been married like almost 60 years. And she was talking about her husband. She said, oh, sometimes I wake up and I just can't stand him. And that was one of the healthiest things for me to hear, because if you've been married for a long time, there are usually those moments. And that's kind of when you say that, when you are transparent and honest and say, oh my God, here we go again. I know I've had friends who say that to me. Yeah, but look at the way they're behaving. Oh my God. And because she said that to me, because you say that, then someone else has the opportunity to say, yeah, I can see how it feels from that side, but here's another side as well. And that gives you the opportunity to actually let people know it's okay to be wherever you are. If you are at the moment with this, oh my God, this George Floyd thing, here we go. If you're there, then I be where you are and see how how you might be othering someone in your family. And then maybe next year you can look back on this and say, oh, wow, now that I've kind of started to work on myself, I see the point. I see the historical empathy that I can now develop for people who are nothing like me.
Right. Right. I usually have my authors read, but you are being a mom right now and you had your book and you accidentally forgot it. And so I'm going to read this part at the end. It's Project Engage and what can you do to create a safe space to talk about race. And I think this is something that I do professionally and personally, because I have come maybe not full circle because I know I still have a lot to work on, but because this is such important work, you have a powerful acronym here. And so for the letters ENGAGE, I'm just going to read this. So first, educate. E stands for educate yourself by reading fiction and nonfiction books or articles from diverse authors. I totally recommend that. N, name your feelings about people who are different from you. Do you have biases against certain groups? How did they develop? G, get rid of biases by working through your feelings. Read about how others have overcome their biases or talk to a friend who can help you grow.
Like
A,
Melody just said, listen, that is a perfect example. I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, you can say whatever you want. Tell me more. But
I was just
definitely,
saying, you just did that. Learn about how other people are getting rid of their biases. Your sharing was everything for somebody. You know what I mean? Someone just caught a bit of the light because of your willingness to share that. So I'm just really appreciative.
A, actively read and research to learn from the stories of people who are different from you. G, get to know people as individuals, refuse to generalize. And I just want to say that I had somebody call me out for a stereotyping this weekend on Easter, a stereotype that I had made about a religious group. And I felt that. And I apologize for it after thinking about it. So I never want to come across as somebody who has all the answers, who has done everything. Like I still am working on this. And I think it's great when real friends can call you in gently and let you know that you are not saying something that is true or right. And the last E of engage is establish regular meetups to talk about and work through issues of race and social justice in your community. And I just want to say that we in our family, we are part of the NAACP. We put the money there. There are educator groups, TABC, NABC. What can people in your community do to be a part of the solution besides reading
Um,
your book?
you know what? In your community, I always say, well, now it's COVID, so it's kind of different, but I always say, visit a Black church, visit a soul food joint, actually engage with people who don't look like you in places and spaces where maybe you're the only one who looks like you. That is huge. My friends who've gone like to visit New York and decided they were going to go to Harlem and hang out. It's like, I've never been the only white person. And that is a wonderful experience to have.
Yes.
And to go there and feel like, but I mean, other than that, I felt fine. Nobody
Right.
jumped me, nobody shot me, all of that kind of stuff, which is horrible. But but come on. I know that people think, oh, Harlem, it's a dangerous place. I'm not going to go there. I don't know if you've ever been to South Central Los Angeles, but beautiful
I
houses.
have not.
I mean, it's lovely. It does not feel like some gang place, which is what you hear on the news. And so a lot of people have these, when you say, oh, urban, oh, danger. And so there are those kinds of things. Engage and drive to somewhere and have some barbecue at the local joint where they're really having a good barbecue. Try that. Also, like you
It's
said,
true.
the NAACP. Check out if there is an HBCU, historically Black college in the area or university. See what kinds of events they have. Book talks are always going on. What do you call plays and those kind of things, readings. Go and visit some of those things. There's probably an African American museum if you live near a larger city. There's an African American museum somewhere. I know here we have a national museum of Black cowboys, and a lot of people don't know that they were Black cowboys, but there were a whole lot of Black cowboys in the West, and they are largely absent from the history that we know or that we are generally learning about. So I would say Start there, and great organizations support an HBCU. So the NAACP, the National Association for Colored People. That's how old the organization is. That is one of the oldest and most established groups that support social justice issues. The Black Lives Matter movement, buy a T-shirt from there. What else
And
do you
they are not
support?
a terrorist organization. There's so
No.
much. I just want to say they're not a terrorist organization. People, if you are going to hear what you want to hear. So if you're stuck on the fact that BLM is a terrorist organization, you won't go far, but they are not. They are inclusive and they are doing great things. I just want to put Belle, she has put these great comments here. Do not limit your knowledge to your current environment. Step outside of your bubble. Do not draw conclusions based upon your experiences with one, and do not rely on what others put forth as fact. I mean, this really is this is the work. And I want to say, as a white person going into a community or just like a group where you are one of the only white people is a great experience. It is very humbling, and it will teach you a lot. Like, yes, I would recommend that. And
And I always say the
everybody
black
should do that.
church because yeah, and going to a black church, I don't like I said right now it's a lot of COVID and people aren't all worshiping and stuff, or they're having smaller worship services, or you have to register. It's complicated. But I grew up in the church. I am the fourth generation in a line of 5 generations of church musicians, and it's just a cool. One of the coolest experiences you can have is going to a black church. I just, it
Right.
is.
It is. And if don't, it's not going to be a short service. It's going to be a very charismatic, like, I mean, I can't speak for every, but the ones I have been to, longer, like it's a genuine atmosphere of worship. It's pretty intense.
Yeah,
It's,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
not
And
like
I mean,
this.
I will say I do have some friends who are Presbyterian and who are Catholic, and depending on those, they can be pretty liturgical, like you're used to if you are more on the kind of Lutheran side of Christianity. But if you go to, I always say go to a Black Baptist church just because it's like the experience.
It is. I love this. Always be genuine in your efforts. Thank you so much, Belle, for telling. Yes, always be genuine. And the thing is that people can see your genuineness, if your sincerity. If you mess up, you apologize, like you feel it. When you're genuine, you want to apologize. I mean, yeah. I mean, there's so many people who are ready to like lock arms with each other and really make a difference and break down walls. I'm sorry. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
and that's such a huge point. A lot of times my friends are saying like, well, I don't know what to say. Well, or my white friends, I'm afraid to make a mistake. I'm afraid to, I'm afraid somebody's gonna. And I will say, if you tend to be far along on your journey, be kind. Like I
Right.
said, if somebody is in the comments and they're saying, Black Lives Matter is a terrorist organization, I'm sorry that they're at that point, but I can kind of shake the dust from my feet and talk work with more fertile ground and till the soil where it's fertile. I don't have to, react with that kind of aggression. But what I can do is wait. Now I lost my point. What were you saying?
Well, we were talking about meet people where they at, their
Right.
sincerity.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That don't be afraid to make a mistake because guess what? You will. It's like
Exactly.
parenting. You know what I mean? You if you didn't stop parenting because you were afraid to make a mistake and there was no template, right? Other than that, we'd
Right.
see children dropped off on the side of the road the whole time. I mean, we would have quit as soon as I'm not picking it up. I might drop it. So just really realize you are going to make a mistake. You are going to say the wrong thing or say it wrong or
Yes.
get it wrong or you'll say it right this week and then you'll find out that in another year that we're not saying that anymore because things are evolving all the time. Get used to that part. And just like she said, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know that. My bad. I had a friend who said to me I was in Switzerland and she said, where are you from? I said, oh, the States. Oh, no, where? Texas. No. I mean, like, where? I said, oh, well, my family's from Louisiana. No, where? In Africa. I said, oh, well, I don't know. My family's been in for quite a few hundred years in America. She said, oh, yeah, right. I'm sorry. I forgot. Y'all aren't all from there. But that was our experience. You know what I mean? Usually the Black people in Switzerland were from different Pan African countries. So that was her experience. No harm, no foul. What was I going to do? Say, oh my God.
Well, that's exactly, you made the point though. That's exactly why we do need to know more and not generalize so much. And I love the comments that are coming in. You have been holding your phone, you poor thing, for like an hour at this point because we've been talking even before we went live. And I want to say that I appreciate that you came on. You Where do you want us to follow your work? Especially, I dropped all the links to your books. What would you, if somebody wants to know more about you or your work, what would you like to tell them?
I would definitely say if you want little short quips, I am most active on Twitter. You can find me on Instagram and on Facebook as well. But generally, I'm most active on Twitter. You can find a blog every week on hedreich.com. And you can find me on podcasts and YouTube under the hashtag small bites. And the cool thing is, if you know how to spell my name, you can find me everywhere.
It's true. It's true. And I'm going to put the hashtag small bites, and it's not about cooking. It's about like learning a little bit at a time so you don't feel so overwhelmed and quit, which is also what I think about when I'm thinking about my weight loss. Small bites,
So much
hedrick.com. I will
more.
put that. I'm sorry, I'm putting hedrick.com. I love this. I hope that we get to chat soon. Again, I need to get your next book. And so I'm definitely gonna blog about this. I'll put all of the links in here. I just want everybody to be able to follow you. Oh, we have some comments coming in. Oh, they were from me. But thank you again so much. I appreciate that you took the time and talked with us tonight. You dropped everything and to talk with us. I want everyone, this is a great book. What is the Black Lives Matter movement? You have probably heard a lot of misinformation. If you think that this is an organization of violence, it is not. There's so much in here that can help bring us together. I really hope that more people will read this with your kids, or if you're an adult, it's still a great read. I want to congratulate you, Hedreich, on writing 2 books so far that have been just amazing. And we'll meet again. You are an incredible woman, and I'm so thankful that we're friends. Is there anything else that you would like to say before we go tonight?
Just that. I would love it, especially if you're skeptical, or if you are, if you think that it's a terrible group and that's what you've been reading. I would love you to. I promise you, it is a cheap read. It costs less than $10, and it's something that you can say, okay, if I don't like it, burn it. But I am sure that you'll learn. I am sure that you'll learn something from it. And so I would just love to invite you to, reach beyond where you are and give it a try.
I love that. Thank you for that invitation. And thank you to everybody who was with us tonight. We appreciate you. And thank you for the Alice Keeler Network that I was able to stream this through and get to so many people. We will definitely see you again next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye, Melody. Thank you.